Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 5 o'clock on a Wednesday, so that means it's chemistry drop-in session, check-in time. Hope you guys are doing okay. It's a bit hot out there, hence no flat cap today, no shirt today. So I've dropped the uniform almost, if you like. So yeah, just checking in, and I know there's a good number of people both kind of like in the ultimate guide and the revision kit, and not necessarily subscribers either. They're kind of asking us at the moment, like, well, how do I best use it? I mean, there's how long we've left before the exams? I mean, not long, right? I mean, when's the first one? Is that the 9th of June? I might be making that up. I don't know, but essentially there's not very long left, is there? So I'm just here just to kind of check in with you guys, give you an idea as to, well, what's the best way to go about the next few weeks, essentially. So if you're in here, just make sure you say hello, and we can get started. I mean, I think if you've got some questions for me, you can put those in the chat as well. I'll do my best to answer those. I'm going live at 6 o'clock again tonight. That's my webinar for our subscribers, for Ultimate Guide subscribers. We're going to be looking at ions in solution. Now, it comes up all the time, ions in solution. There's always going to be something in there in your exam that's going to test you on, do you know the tests for different ions, and so on and so forth. So it's a case of, you know, just having to learn by rote those reactions, those tests for those different ions in solution. There's a whole bunch for year one, a whole bunch for year two as well. So yeah, I think that's going to be really, really useful for the Ultimate Guide subscribers tonight in the web class. Like I said, that starts at 6 o'clock in the Ultimate Guide. So if you are a subscriber and you haven't registered, then I'll probably click the button for registrations probably about 10 to any kind of last minutes, if you like. So yeah, if you want to get involved, then you can do that if you're an Ultimate Guide subscriber. So in terms of what to do over the next 4 weeks, well, it's about focused revision, isn't it? I mean, there's no way you're going to be able to cover everything again over the next 4 weeks. If you're doing past papers, which you should be, then you're going to touch on most things, aren't you? Okay. But what do you focus on? Well, you've got to focus on your weak areas, and you've got to find those weak areas for a kickoff, haven't you? All right. So you've got to find those weak areas. How do you do that? Well, it's by doing past papers, time conditions, closed book, do a past paper. Now, you can use mark schemes, of course, to answer past papers, to mark past papers, but very often they're not that readable, are they? I mean, anybody in here? I mean, you know, there's a few of you watching. How do you find using the mark schemes? Do they suck? Do you find them okay? I mean, what's going on? What are your thoughts on that, ladies and gentlemen that are watching? One thing you definitely should not be doing is doing a past paper with your mark scheme next to it. Okay, and that's no good whatsoever. It's basically a complete waste of time. That's what it is. It's a complete waste of time, and you're not going to learn anything from it. Okay, what you need to be doing right now is drawing information out of your brain, not trying to cram stuff in, but drawing stuff out and finding those little areas of weakness. Which bits can't you remember? Can you not remember what color iron 3+ is in when you add sodium hydroxide dropwise? And if you can't remember that, then of course that's something you need to write down and revise, and go away and revise afterwards. Okay. So how do you use it? How do you use the revision kit rather than the mark scheme? So you need to do a paper, closed book, time conditions. Okay, use all the time given to you. Okay, so if it's an hour and 45-minute paper, then you take an hour and 45 minutes. If you finish after an hour and a half, then that 15 minutes, I don't like the term check your work. I mean, that's kind of like, okay, are you happy with what you've written? And you know what? You've written it. Of course, you're going to be happy with it. All right. Maybe somebody else who reads it might not be. But your job for that last little section, for that time you've got, which you hopefully should have at the end of the paper, what you need to be doing there is looking for mistakes. Okay. Ronnie said this to me. I think it's a great way of thinking about it. And that's rather than check your work, go back and find mistakes. There's going to be something in a calculation. Maybe you didn't do to the correct significant figures. Maybe you didn't put units on. Maybe like I've done in the past, and it's just like a number has just completely changed from one thing to another, and I've used the wrong number. You've got to find mistakes or find things that you haven't written that you should have. Okay, and if you go back and you look for those things, pretend it's somebody else that wrote it, your job is to find errors in that work. Now, that's what you should be doing in that last little portion of the exam where you go back over the paper again. Okay, so use up all of the time. So how best to go about it then? Okay, I've banged on enough about how to do past papers. Well, it's a case of the method, using the TT method. So you have a go at a full past paper. Okay, then what you do is you go into the revision kit and you go through that paper with me, okay, whether it's the analysis part, me going through the answers, the response part, or indeed me going through the mark scheme, which is probably the most useful to you at this point. And that's where I kind of decode the mark scheme. What do they accept? What don't they accept? Okay. And that's what's really, really important. So you go through, and what you need to do is make a list of everything that maybe you missed out, everything that you got wrong, okay? Even if it's like, oh, I didn't use that particular key term when I answered this question on intermolecular forces. Well, what you need to do is just make sure, rather than just go, oh, I'll use it next time. I mean, that's no good. That's just like making a mental note. You're going to forget again, okay? So what you need to do is go back and create a whole sheet and associate that word with all the others that you do remember, okay? And that's how you do it. So you need to go away and do an action hour on each of those things. And that's how you improve. And once you've done that, okay, you go away and actually you do the same paper again, and even a different paper after that. By repeating the same past paper, people think they're dead to them after you've done them once. That is not true. Okay, you might think, oh, of course I'm going to do better the second time because I've just done those questions, but you're still drawing the same information out of your brain. You're training your brain in terms of recall, and that's going to help you in the real thing. Okay, because oh, yes, you're repeating the questions, but what you're doing is you're reaffirming those pathways in your brain that help you recall those bits of information linked to that question. So maybe it's about equilibria. Okay, you may be answering the same question, but you're just reaffirming, and you're going to improve by tweaking, by looking at those mark scheme videos in the revision kit. Gaming Jedi, hey, I haven't gone over organic notes yet. Should I still do absolutely, Gaming Jedi? Okay, so even if you haven't actually started revising organic chemistry yet, you definitely should do a paper 2 in full, closed book, timed conditions, and that will tell you which areas of organic chemistry you need to focus on the most, because it's, you know, wouldn't that be much better to focus on the areas that you're not very good at, rather than in the next 3 weeks trying to revise everything in organic chemistry, right? So it's about being smart about your revision, and the way to do that is find those areas of weakness. You do that by doing a past paper. Alex, do you have any videos on topic 19 questions for AQA A-level chemistry? Do you recommend do papers from the old syllabus? Topic 19, you'll have to remind me what topic 19 is. I'm not encyclopedic with those things, Alex. Topic 19, I mean, I could look it up now, but if you know what that is, then just pop that in there for me, okay? I would say, Alex, that unless you've done each paper 3 times, so you've got the specimen paper, you've got the 2017 and 2018, you need to have done each of those 3 times, my recommendation, before you even think about old spec papers. And even then, just be careful, because there's going to be stuff in there that's not in there anymore, or maybe there's stuff that isn't in there but now is in the new spec. My recommendation is, in the revision kit, what I've done is I've curated the OCR and EdXL papers for AQA students. So basically blanked out all the questions for the new spec relative to AQA. Okay, so you can do those safe in the knowledge that everything is appropriate. Anna, I'm no good at practicals. 3 things you need to know about practicals. Okay, number 1, know the method. Okay, and the reasons why you do each of those steps. So like recrystallization, why do we use the minimum volume of solvent? Why do we cool it rapidly and then filter it, and so on and so forth? So know your method for each of those, and there's required practicals. Method and reasons why you do it. Errors, where might errors creep in for those different things? And of course, the calculations at the end that are associated with them. So you need to know what calculations to do. So if you whittle it down to those 3 things you need to know about the prac, then you're going to be laughing, absolutely laughing, okay? Really not. How to work out final structure of compound in NMR. Fully understand split integration, but never get the final compound. That's tough, revision night. That is tough, being able to do that. My advice, look for other clues in the question. Okay, just one word might do it, might make it click. Okay, so it might be that it's a symmetrical or asymmetrical compound. It may be that they put a little cheeky wet test in there, like, oh, it decolorizes bromine water, or it just mentions the word aromatic, so you know it's a benzene ring in there. Okay, so there's going to be other clues in the question most of the time that will help you do that. Okay. So revision night, just state KP. Okay, so topic 19. Oh, that's topic 19 is KP. Yeah, in the revision kit, okay, what I've done is I've put together all the massive calculations that you're expected to do in one section. From all the exam boards, everything's curated and appropriate to your exam board if you're on the revision kit. So all your big KP calcs. Of course, I've got a section on just equilibria in general as well, but all your big KP calcs are in there as well. These are all like 5 and 6 markers and above. So you've got loads and loads of questions to have a go out there, not only from your exam board, but from others that are also appropriate. NMR questions, is it on the revision kit? Absolutely. Okay, so all the organic analysis. So all the organic analysis questions are together. NMR is usually coupled with things like mass spectroscopy and infrared spectroscopy. So I didn't do an NMR section, but in the organic analysis, there's obviously loads and loads of NMR questions in there. Okay. Optic plays do much worse in mocks, real exams, and then when I do past papers by myself in time conditions, I don't know why. It's about, I don't know, maybe it's nerves, okay? And, you know, we've talked about previously what to do to just kind of like chill out, get yourself in headspace. It's about being exam fit, isn't it? Okay? Don't let that, I mean, if anybody's got 2 exams on one day, don't let that be the first time you do 2 exams in one day, okay? When you're part of your revision, if you know you've got a day where you've got a back-to-back, a morning and afternoon exam, do that beforehand, okay? Get in the zone and, you know, just think, right, today, all I'm going to do is these 2 exams. I'm going to focus and I'm going to do what I would do on that day where I've got 2 exams. Don't let that day be the first time you do that, okay? That's my advice to you. What's the point of doing 2018 papers to death and 2019 of different topics? That is the point, Gaming Jedi. They will not have different topics, okay? They'll have different questions, but you will have the same topics, okay? And like I said, by doing the 2018 one, by any of them to death 3 times, okay? Keep going till you get, well, what we see is get 1 grade above the grade you want. And that point, fine, ditch it, okay? But until you get to that point, it's worth doing again. Why? Because you're applying your knowledge and you might be applying it to the same question, but you'd be amazed actually. If you leave it a couple of days, then, you know, you're not going to remember your previous answers verbatim. And anyway, you don't want to remember your previous answers verbatim because you want to improve on your answers each time. And it's about making those little incremental improvements. Guaranteed, if you've done the specimen, the 2017 and 2018 papers, then something from there, 1 or 2 questions from there, something very, very similar will come up in the 2019 paper. I guarantee it. You'll be like, oh, this looks familiar. There was a similar experiment in the specimen paper. Okay, so it's really, really worth doing. I promise you that. Okay, so so do we have practicals covered in the Ultimate Guide? Absolutely. There's a whole section on the specified practicals that we do. Transition metal complexes are hard. It is something I'm going to be covering partly in the web class tonight for my Ultimate Guide subscribers. We're talking about tests for ions in solution. So yeah, I think there's a lot to learn there, especially if doing AQA. There's a lot to learn for AQA in terms of complexes and stuff like that. But you know what? Flashcards, making yourself a cheat sheet and regurgitating the formulae and the colors and the reactions and stuff. It's just repetition with those, unfortunately. It's the only way to do it. Ion identification, best way to revise it. As I was just saying, okay, it's about practicing, you know, identifying those different ions. What I would do, okay, is get yourself a grid, okay, maybe do it in Excel or something like that. And down across the left-hand side, down the left-hand column, just write a load of different salts, soluble salts that contain all of your different ions you need to know. So maybe like sodium carbonate, potassium hydroxide, silver nitrate, you know, just loads and loads of different ones, and do the same across the top. And then when you mix the 2, okay, obviously not 2 of the same ones, but we'll do a cross-section chart and see, am I going to get a precipitate with those? Yes or no? And then you can check your answers very, very easily from your notes and stuff like that. So test yourself for those kinds of things. That's exactly what I'm doing in the web class tonight at 6 o'clock. Optic blaze panic attacks. So it's about finding techniques, okay, maybe using headspace or something like that. I can't speak from first-hand experience, But I mean, there's loads and loads of really good advice out there. I think, when it comes to stressing out about exams, then, there are methods that can help you kind of get yourself away from that. Okay. And like I said, exposing yourself to the stresses of exams early doors, by doing 2 or 3 exams in the same day, okay, and pushing yourself to the limit a little bit at home, then that's going to make it just seem that little bit easier when you get to the actual thing. PDF available for the web class. It will be as soon as I dial down after this live session in about 15 minutes time. I will be uploading the PDF for the web class for those of you that are joining me at 6 o'clock. Okay, so good question, Pierre. If a question asks you to suggest 2 reasons and you put down 3 reasons, is one is in the ignore column, will they only mark the first 2? Yes, they tend to mark the first 2, Pierre, okay? So they will mark the first 2. They won't look for the 2 correct answers. So if your second one is in the ignore column, then it's kind of like, well, actually, if they ignore it, they will take the 2. And you'll get 2 marks for it, okay? So if it's an ignore, they just kind of like scoot past it. But if it's incorrect, if it's not accepted, they will take the first 2, so you only get 1 mark, okay? So always go for the most obvious ones first. The ones that come up in the mark schemes all the time, they're the ones to go to first, okay? Formulas and complexes, like I said before, it's flashcards. It's about writing yourself cheat sheets and regurgitating them, like I've already said to you guys in the past about revising organic functional groups and the switches between them, okay? Actually, at this point, what I will say is that I'm going to be announcing a winner just before I go tonight. Now, loads of people who were in our web class last Monday, and even this Monday, I was doing some predictions for the exams for this year. If you haven't already seen that, make sure you go and check out that video where I'm predicting what's going to be in, or my predictions for what's going to be in the paper 1, paper 2, paper 3 for AQA, OCR, and Excel. So what we said was, if anybody subscribed between last Monday and midnight this Monday just gone, okay, so over the last week, they're going to get, anybody subscribed to any sort of chemistry course, whether it's a bundle or what, I've got a winner. We've already selected one at random. I'm going to be announcing who that is in a second. So maybe they're here. Who knows? Okay, so more questions, guys. Which topics do you think people make most mistakes on? We really know the right side of the bell-shaped curve. Yeah, absolutely. You're right there. That's hard. I mean, it's not about topics. They could throw a really difficult KC question in, or they could throw a really difficult ion identification in, or titration, or something like that. They always put cheeky little questions in where only like the top 10% of students are going to get it. The ones that really know their chemistry and have made links between all the subjects and topics and stuff like that. I think the things students struggle with the most, and as is like, shown in the chat just in the last 10 minutes, is, the transition metals, okay, and organic chemistry as well, where the areas where there's a lot to remember, where there's a lot of parrot fashion learning you have to do. That's where, a lot of students struggle. So if you can get ahead of the game there, brilliant. Calculations, I think once you've done all the calculations available to you in the past papers, you're ready. And if you can see your way through those, you're definitely ready for what's going to be up there in the summer exams. So yeah, organic and inorganic chemistry. Okay, so like the memory game, if you like, that's probably where a lot of students lose most marks. Mariam, you haven't had an email? Well, I'm going to double check the registration list before we start, Mariam. So if you haven't had one yet, you should have. Then I will make sure you get one. What was the answer to the first question asked? Can I please get a call back? What was the first question asked? Oh yeah, going over organic notes. Should you do full past papers? Yes, you absolutely should. That's instead of revising organic straight away, then what you need to do is do a full paper 2, and that will tell you what your weakest areas of the organic chemistry and rates or whatever else is in there as well. That will tell you what areas you need to work on first that need the most attention. So yes, absolutely. First port of call is do an entire paper and then revise the topics that you weren't so hot at. Okay. So I have, well, I haven't predicted grade boundaries. They've been pretty stable over the last couple of years, but grade boundaries are dictated by how well the students do in the paper. Okay, so you know what, it's pointless me trying to predict it, because it's, you know, it's like me saying, oh, how clever are the students this year? So if it was an easy paper, grade boundaries will go up, sorry. If it was a harder paper and everybody found it hard, then all the grade boundaries will come down. So it's all based on student performance grade boundaries, but I'm pretty sure they're pretty good at keeping them about the same, to be honest with you. I don't think AS papers are a waste of time, Anna. I think they will test you on your year one content. I don't think they're easier. There's still some pretty tough questions in AS papers, but of course it's going to be year one content only, isn't it? And some of the year two stuff obviously is a little bit harder than the AS, but you know what? It's definitely worth doing them, because you know what? You could very easily get a whole question just based on a year one topic in an A-level paper. Why not? Because you know, it's got to be on everything in that last 2 years. So absolutely have a go at the AS papers as well. Yeah, another question on complex ions. Okay, so how do you revise ions and the colors associated with them? Flashcards, I would say, all the way. Once you've made them once. Now, this is where people make flashcards, but they don't know how to use them properly. So you make a pile of flashcards with the ions and the test and color on the back. Okay, now what you need to do is every day, once you've made them, okay, give it a couple of days, test yourself. Okay, so Fe2 plus, right? What happens if I add sodium hydroxide to it? Well, if I add sodium hydroxide, then it's going to make a green precipitate. Look on the back. If you get it right, put it in the correct pile and you put that away and you don't look at that flashcard again. If you get a flashcard wrong, put it in the wrong pile and you have a go at that wrong pile. Once you've gone through them all, just have a go at the wrong pile tomorrow. Okay, just have a go at the wrong pile. No point going over the ones you've got right already. Okay, and then once you've gone through all of them, you've got all of them right. Okay, you'd be whittling them down over the course of a few days. Once you've done all of them, then obviously pick up the whole pack and see if you can do everything all in one go. And that's the way you know them. Okay, so that's how to use flashcards, guys. Same for reagents and conditions. Best way to do that, absolutely. Also, my organic cheat sheet is the best way. Okay, so flashcards, organic cheat sheet. I promise you, in the ultimate guide, I've got a blank organic cheat sheet. You just regurgitate that and complete it. Only when you can complete it from start to finish without checking any of your notes, that's when you know you nailed it. You're all over it and you'll remember them for the rest of your life. Okay, so again, transition metals. So everyone worried about transition metals and ions and stuff at the moment. It's not really a revision session, Fatima. I'm just checking in with people, just answering people's questions and stuff and talking about how best to revise over the next few weeks. When's the best time to call? Anytime during the day. I'm on the phone during the day, actually. But I do a lot of recording during the day. So if I don't answer the phone, please leave a message and I'll ring you back. Make sure you leave your number nice and clear, because it's a bit of a rubbish line, to be honest with you. But yeah, if I don't answer, it's because I'm recording. I've got the phone on silent for obvious reasons, but I do call people back. Ellie, I feel like I know nothing. I don't know what's my worst topics, but would you recommend starting Bought the Ultimate Guide? I mean, Ellie, again, it's down to just doing a full pass paper, time conditions. Okay, that will tell you where your major areas of weaknesses are. Okay, and you want to look at what you got right as well. Give yourself a pat on the back and say, right, okay, I'm all over equilibria. I can answer all those questions. I got 100% on that equilibrium question, but actually I bombed on the enthalpy stuff. So it's yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult, but you do need to find those areas of weakness, because if you try and do everything between now and the exam, you're just going to end up kind of your head exploding. Okay, but honestly, it's the best way is to do a full pass paper, find your areas of weakness, use the revision kit, and use the ultimate guide as well. Okay, because if there's major holes in your content knowledge, and maybe you weren't using the right key terms or you didn't explain something properly, like, I don't know, comparing bonding between two different things, or explaining I don't know, like the perfect ionic model effect or something like that, then you can use the ultimate guide to top up on that knowledge. And when you're using ultimate guide videos, my advice is sit and watch it, focus, just listening, not making notes or anything, just watch it once, focus in on it, okay, and listen, right, and learn, and then watch it a second time and make the notes. Okay, and pause and make a notes. Watch it, pause, make notes. Okay, so it's the best way, just sitting and listening, and then watch it again, making notes. That's definitely the best way to do it. Okay, You're getting lower on AS papers than A2. Well, it's because you haven't done it for a while. People obviously, people do forget that there's going to be a lot of AS stuff or year one stuff in your A-level exam. So don't neglect it. It's really important. And that's what I'm doing tonight. That's what we do in all our web classes. All right. Year one for the first hour, year two for the second hour. And you know what? All the year twos are there for all the year one stuff as well. Every week since September, okay, people in the web classes who are year two have been relearning all the year one stuff all the way through, okay? And I bet you, I mean, anybody in here is in my web classes for a long time? Anybody been with me for the last, well, I think it was the end of September we started. Just let me know if that's been helpful for you, okay? Okay, I'm getting a C. I've covered all the content. Image getting A. Revision tips to recommend. I've done several tests for each topic until I get 85%, but then you get less overall. It's full papers, Natalie. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And Simply Wonder, again, it's about focusing on full past papers. And actually, if you're in the revision kit, if you've got our revision kit, you can use other exam boards past papers too. So, because what I've done is I've taken out the questions that are irrelevant for your exam board. So if you're doing OCR, all the AQA and EdXL papers are there, but I've obviously blanked out all the questions that you don't need to do. So you can do those without being afraid about, what's relevant and what's not relevant, okay? So I've tripled the bank of past paper questions for new spec A-level chemistry that you've got access to. So make sure if you're in the revision kit, use those. If you haven't got the revision kit, I highly recommend it, okay? I'm a bit biased, okay, because I wrote it, but, I think it's pretty good, and I've not heard anybody tell me any different yet. So it's about past papers now. It's about honing your exam technique, because it will help you understand how they, word questions and how they deliver questions to you, make you familiar with those questions. And when you get to the exam in June, then it's going to seem familiar, isn't it? But also, it's going to help you focus on those areas where you are revising and not just doing past papers. So if you get something wrong, then it's like, right, I need to spend half an hour or an action hour doing something on that topic, okay? And you can, there's loads of different methods to do that. Again, in the revision kit, we come up with loads of ideas, and you can use revise with riches as well. Okay, I've pretty much covered every topic now with these 45-minute study sessions in there. So okay, so ultimate guide, revision kit, or both, and why? It's like Chelsea. It's like, go, tell me. I would say if it's exam technique and how to get the most marks out of each question, if you're happy with content, but you're looking to actually for help to apply that to an exam scenario, that's revision kit. Okay. If you've got major holes in your knowledge, if you think, I don't understand any of the, ionization energies or NMR, and I don't understand any of that, let alone how to answer questions on it, I just don't know how it works, then it's the ultimate guide you need to get. Okay, so they are two different beasts. So it's your choice. Okay, if it's content, holes in your content that you're worried about, ultimate guide. If it's just like, okay, I'm pretty okay with the content, but I just want to know how to get the most marks out of the exam, then it's a revision kit. Okay, of course, if it's both, then who do I call in for assistance with a subject? Well, that's us. All right, that's what we're doing. We're parachuting in at the moment, helping people with their A-level chemistry, biology, and maths. Do you do specimen set 2 for the revision kit? No. Okay, so those the specimen set 2s we haven't done, okay, because they're only released fairly recently. Okay, OCR do like sample papers as well, but we're not allowed to do those. They tend to keep those under lock and key. Is it worth buying the revision kit so late into the year? Well, you know what, Simply Wonder, I mean, what we say is you've got a month. What have you got to lose, right? The revision kit is there to talk you through the exams and help you focus on those different areas. I've organized everything by topic. I've done specific revision sessions and revision techniques for every single topic. I've put all the big calculations together, those big 6-mark level of response questions I've put together for you as well. So if there's so much in there, you'll never get it all done between now and the exam, but it's about focused revision, isn't it? And that's what I've been saying this whole half an hour. So yes, and you know what? We offer a 7-day money-back guarantee, right? I mean, I can't even remember anybody actually phoning me to do that. Okay, so if you get it and think, well, this is a complete waste of space, I think as long as you haven't abused it and watched like almost every single video in 7 days, then yeah, we're happy to just say, you know what, have your money back. If it's not going to work for you, that's fine. So, you know, that's what we say. And I think this late on in the year, it is exactly what you need to hone your skills ready for those exams coming up at the beginning of June. Okay. If your mind goes blank during the exam, it's about taking breaths. Just, you know, close your eyes, forget about everything, just clear your mind. And you know what? If you're stuck on a question like that, sack it off, come back to it. You're amazed what that old gray matter will be working on whilst you're carrying on with something else that you know the answer to. Okay, so just make a note, fold the paper over in the corner and just go back to it. Take a breath, close your eyes, sack off, get rid of all those negative thoughts and just move on to the next one. Okay, so in terms of time management, Isabel, there's a number on the website, Fatma, if you do want to speak to me about anything in particular, about the course and stuff. I'm not on the phone for chemistry, okay? So don't phone me asking me chemistry questions on the phone. That's what the ultimate guide is for in the comment section and stuff like that. So yeah, if it's about, you know, access to the course, if you've got any issues or you've got any questions about how the course works, then that's fine. Right, what did I say? Time management, I always read the entire paper first. Okay, I spend 2 or 3 minutes and you might think, oh my God, it's just eating into my time. It's so worth it. Just read through it. Okay, well, that's a KP question. All right, there's a redox titration there. Okay, that one's going to be on rates of reaction and so on and so forth. So you know what's ahead of you. You don't want every single page to be a surprise, right? So at that point, you think, okay, that question is probably going to take me a while. That one's going to take me a while. So you can peg those areas of that's going to worry you. Okay. Teacher said, do the big questions like NMR and the first multiple choices last. That's personal preference. Absolutely personal preference. I like doing the multiple choice first because that's like a little workout, like a little warm up before you get into the big questions. So I'm going to drop it there. Okay. I'm going to drop it there. Now, winner. I have a winner. I'm just going to check my phone. So we chose one at random, and somebody who has subscribed to any chemistry course between last Monday and the Monday just gone. Okay, so what was that? Monday the 12th just gone. Is it the 12th? Hang on, 14th, 13th. No, Monday the 13th. Okay, so between that Monday to midnight, Monday the 13th, and the Monday before that, and that is Zain Akram. Now, Zain Akram bought the Biology and Chemistry Ultimate Guide. So basically, they're getting the money back and we're doubling their money. So we're not only giving them £79 back, we are giving them £158 back, and we're giving them access for the entire exam season as well. So well done, Zain. I haven't seen your name pop up in here, but we are sending Zain an email. That's your Snapchat username. Is it iStreaky? So essentially, last bit of advice is right now, just if you haven't done a paper 1, a paper 2, and a paper 3 in their entirety, okay, then do it, because it's going to help you focus on the areas of vision that you need to focus on. Okay, that is the most important thing that we can do right now. Okay, that you can do right now, and the most effective thing you can do right now. It will definitely focus your mind. Or you shouldn't be sleepy in the exam. You shouldn't be sleepy in the exam. Early night, early morning. Okay, early night, early morning. Get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning of the exam. Make sure you have a good routine in the morning, good breakfast, get yourself going. You don't want to be having just like an hour and a half wake up time before, you know, getting out of bed and doing the exam. So get up early, get a coffee, do whatever you need to do, and so on and so forth. Okay. So I'm going to go because I got some stuff to do before my web class. I like to put the PDF on there. So if those of you who are in the Ultimate Guide, I'm going to be in my web class at 6 o'clock. I'll see you in 26 minutes. If not, I will be checking in again at 5 o'clock next week to answer any of your questions. And again, any advice on what to do in terms of the weeks going on. But right now, do a full past paper, closed book, time conditions. Use a revision kit if you've got the revision kit. If you haven't got the revision kit, it's absolutely worth getting. Okay, you got 1 month to the exams. Okay, and you think, oh, you know, if you look at it afterwards, or you meet somebody afterwards and said, oh, I used it, it was awesome. And you think, oh, I wish I'd got it. Then, well, that's no good, is it? Okay, what have you got to lose? Okay, You've got one shot at this, folks. It's all 2 years come down to this. It's a drop in the ocean compared to tuition fees if you're going to university. So think of it that way. All right. Right. I will see you guys next week. Thank you very much for chatting with me. And yeah, I'll see you next Wednesday, 5 o'clock.